Chapter 16 Fall of the Dark Islands. Everything's better now. It feels so great to say that, Austin rejoiced. I still don't know what went on here, Jeffrey said. We'll explain everything soon, Dad, Austin replied. Wait, I totally forgot. Ariel is still alive, Alexis shouted. He ran away to the port during the destruction. Crap! Austin shouted in anger. We need to go to your castle. Gather up all the Star Police. Get every single guard at your castle. We're going to attack Ariel, Austin announced. Alexis ran to her castle. She told the lead guard to gather up all the guards. Make sure they have a lot of weapons. Austin ran to the Star Police station and gathered all the Star Police. An hour later, all the guards and Star Police gathered at the Navy port. They marched onto the military ships. The ship departed and sailed across the raging waters to Ariel's island. Austin followed in a new yacht, and Alexis waited back on the island with the Oxleys. The ships neared the island. They spotted Ariel's private ship. The head guard sent a missile toward the ship. The boat went up in flames, but they did not stop there. Ariel was not dead yet. The guards stormed onto the island. They marched into Ariel's castle. The guard standing at the door pulled out his gun and started shooting at the front row of soldiers. But they shot him down. Hearing the sounds of the gunshots, Ariel stood up from his throne. He walked out of the throne room and into the hallway. What's going on? He shouted to his panicking guards. We're being attacked. Get out of here, sir. We arranged for the private jet to take off. It's on the helicopter landing. I'll escort you up there. Harold walked up to him. He ran up the staircase to the far left turret where the helicopter landing was. Hundreds of guards attacked Starshine's military, but did not survive. The large military marched up the staircase to Ariel's throne. They got up there, but he had already left. Austin jumped off the military ship onto the dock. He ran toward the castle. He looked at the top of the far left turret. He saw Ariel's private jet land. He ran toward the entrance of the castle. There was a riot of people heading toward him. He pulled out his sword and began swinging at the aggravated townspeople. Some of them turned back and ran for their lives, but most of them continued to storm toward their number one enemy. Suddenly, one of the townspeople came up in front of Austin and pulled out a machete and swung it at him, shouting something in a different language. Austin tried to dodge the blade of the knife, but it ripped through his arm, only injuring it. Austin cried in pain, then stared at the person who stabbed him. The man stared into Austin's eyes with a look of hatred. Then the man looked above Austin's head and dropped his sword in fear. His eyes stared widely at what was approaching behind Austin. Run for your lives, the man shouted. He turned around and ran through the crowd, shouting with fear. Austin stared as the man ran away in fear. He turned around and stared at the thing the man saw. He smiled and dropped to the ground. The rioting people standing behind him shouted with fear and turned around. They began to jump over each other to get away from the area. Then, with one word, hell broke loose for all the people who attended the riot. Fire! The guards shouted to the army and navy men that surrounded the street the riot took place on. They loaded their guns and fired at the scampering people in the streets. Austin covered his head with his arms, dodging the bullets and falling people surrounding him. He clenched his eyes shut and waited for it all to end. The last person fell to the ground with a loud thump, and the shooting stopped. Austin stood up and placed his hand over his wound. Get out of here, Austin. You're not needed here anymore, the guard shouted above the ringing echo of the gunshots. We need to stop Ariel, Austin shouted. We will. Now go and get your arm taken care of. I need to kill Ariel myself. I've got to. After all he's done to me. I know what you mean, but we can't risk losing you. By now, Ariel probably already has a whole army out to get you. Go. We'll bring him to you alive, the guard told him. All right. Bring him to me alive. Austin walked over the dead bodies toward the port with his arm in his hand. The army men began to march across the remains of the riot toward Ariel's castle. Go get 'em, boys, the guard shouted. The army men and navy men ran toward the castle, shouting with pride. They bombarded through the doors of the castle. They rampaged through the entry room. They killed every guard of Ariel's that came into their path. The guard of Starshine's army ran up the stairs to Ariel's throne room. One of the sergeants that arrived at the castle earlier met him at the door. Captain Williams, we have bad news. Ariel has fled, the sergeant said. Where's he gone, Nichols? Captain Williams shouted. He flew away in his jet. It took off but 2 minutes ago. We don't know where it's gone. Well, that's just great, he shouted in anger. He turned around. There was one of Ariel's servants standing by the staircase trying to escape. Williams pulled out his gun and shot the servant down the stairs. Well, I guess if we destroy this island and everyone on it, Ariel won't have anything left. He'll have to surrender. Destroy everything, and that's an order. All right, sir. Nichols saluted Williams and turned around to spread the order. Ariel sat in his jet. He stared out the window upon the Starshine Islands below him and smiled. I will never give up, he whispered to himself. To be continued.